with another episode of Successful Marketing Sales for Relationships. What the heck is going on? Okay. All right. And we're back with another episode of Successful Marketing Sales and Relationships for adult small business owners and entrepreneurs, where we help you sell what you make. I'm your host, best-selling author Sadon Long, and we are officially 79 days away from Christmas. So if your sales are a little bit slow, this is the podcast for you. This one today. So let's get right to it. So I talk with a lot of clients. And one of the things I notice, or I am noticing right now, is that a lot of clients are really struggling with getting sales. And they're attributing it to their marketing. They're saying, well, I need more people to see me. I need more people um, to go to my page. I need more people to watch my videos. I need more people to go to my website. And as we go through their accounts, as we go through what it is that they got going on, what I'm starting to realize is that a lot of people are selling all over the place. So, one of the first things that we work on, one of the first things we identify is, are you a service or are you a product? Because a service and a product are two different things. Okay? And if you're a service, you need to be selling completely different than if you're a product. So, let's get to it. So, if you're a service, meaning that you are in the I do something for you business in exchange for money, then you need to be selling you. You need to be selling the uniqueness of what you do. Once again, you need to sell the uniqueness of you. Because people who are in the service industry think they're all the same, but really they're not. When you are selling a service that you're directly attached to, for example, if you're selling coaching, two business coaches are not the same. Okay? If you're selling coaching and you're a business coach, one business coach may have thousands of dollars in sales, the other one may have none. One business coach may be able to coach, train, lead, and teach, and the other one might not. For example, if you're a business coach who's been in sales, that is a plus for you because if you're working with clients who have to sell for a living, like I do, because I work primarily with self-employed people who have no employees and make less than $90,000. So that's the bulk of my business. That's not all of my business, but that's the bulk of it. And usually what we're doing is we're trying to turn people who make less than $90,000 into people who have the potential to make $1 million, which means that because they don't have any employees, they need to know how to sell. They need to know how to negotiate. They need to know how to work a phone, know how to work inside of an interview in order to get the right information to close the deal. It's just a skill that they need because there's nobody else calling these people for them. And if they're not calling them themselves, who's calling them? So for me, the fact that I've been a sales trainer, the fact that I've been an award-winning recruiter gives me additional skills to help my client. So now, if you're looking for a business coach, that separates me from the other people. But today we're talking about you. So if you're servicing and you're serving people, your experiences, your strategies, your understanding is what makes you unique. So if you're an esthetician, you, know, you may do things that another esthetician doesn't do. Like I had a client one time during COVID, and we literally took cleaning supplies and we sat them on the table. And then we started marketing her, we started promoting her as someone who did one-on-one, by appointment only, nails. Because at that time, people were scared to sit in the nail shop. At that time, people were worried about catching COVID. So the fact that we showed that the place had been cleaned and that we cleaned it after each and every client made people more comfortable with her to come in and do business. Okay. So now we're showing where she's different. We're showing why if you have a certain phobia, she's better for you. If you're worried about utensils being clean, she's got you. If you're worried about too many people being in there, she's got you. If you're worried about getting your purse stolen, she's got you. So now all of those things that we're highlighting and pointing out helps her stand out. So if you're in the service industry, this really gives you an advantage. But what I'm finding with a lot of my clients and what I'm finding out with people who are reaching out to me is that they're not talking about the things that make them different. You know, what do you do? I'm a business coach. What do you do? I'm a life coach. Okay. So if you're a life coach, for example, how much life have you lived? You know, if you're a life coach, what things have you overcome? You know, what things make you unique? Because now we go to telling a story. In your story, your story as a life coach might be a little bit different than the next person. Maybe you know what it's like to come from a home where there wasn't food to eat. Maybe you know what it's like to be in a marriage where the person was abusive. Maybe you know what it's like to get fired from your job and then bounce back. And now you're able to teach people step by step how to bounce back. I mean, it doesn't seem ridiculous if a person lost their job and then came back and got a better job, that there's some strategy that they were using that other people aren't using, right? Because a lot of people lose their jobs and they never get a better job. It's just a downward spiral. Had a really great job, not so great job. He had an even worse job than that. But for the person who says, "Hey, man, I was at the top of my game. Company closed, and here's what I did to get back. Here's how I put together my resume. Here's how I got up and focused each and every day. Here's what I thought about each and every day. Here's how I scheduled my day." That makes you pretty unique, right? Because maybe that other person has never been in a situation where they've had to come back. So now for the people who'd like to come back, you're probably a better option. One of my favorite friends and clients, is Dr. Powell. She's been a president more than once. So for her, it's like, okay, I've been on top. I lost it, for things that were obviously out of her control. And then she got it back again. And not only did she get it back, then she was able to help other people become presidents too. So that gives her a unique skill set versus another coach who may be trying to coach you. So if you're in the services industry, you want to focus on the things that make you different. Not the things that make you the same, because what happens when you're the same as everybody else, then they want to make you cheap like everybody else. If you guys are all the same, why am I paying more for you? Is what that person's saying in their head. You know, Same thing with you're a marketer. You know, well, you guys all do marketing, so why do you cost $10,000 and why do they only cost 500? Had a client one time who wanted me to send emails, and I'm like, well, my emails generate sales. Their emails don't. Even when I send a newsletter for you, we're still having call to actions. We're still building out your funnel. We're still putting your customers in a position to be nurtured and led toward making a decision to do business with you. So me writing emails is a lot different than somebody else, which is why it costs more. Because I'm talking about things that are going to predict the future and help that customer gain the clarity that they need to make a decision. Like right now, we're talking about what's happening during the holidays. Okay, what's going on? Gas prices, mortgages, unemployment rates. Why? Because if you're thinking about going into business, these are things that you need to know. If you are in business, these are things that you need to know. So, example, if you know during the holiday season it's going to cost you an additional $500 to $600 a month just to heat the place, then you need to develop some skills and a strategy that's going to allow you to make that extra $500-$600. So now, if I send you an email talking about the rising gas prices, it gives you a heads up, and says, okay, I need to maybe figure out a plan. And if you're trying to figure out a plan and you don't have a plan, and I offer you help or offer the help of my client, now it puts my client in a position that they can now do business with you. Because I need a plan, I don't have a plan. Or if you're looking to save on your heating and gas, and I have a client who can help you save, then maybe that's another way, another entry point. But again, if you're a service business, which 78% of us are, because the barriers to get in are low, anybody can do service things because you're simply just doing something for someone. But just because you do it does not mean you do it the best. Two people can cut grass. One person might be very detail oriented and the other person might not be. But if you allow them to call you both the same thing, how are you then going to charge a price that you can make a living? Remember, I had a person tell me that we did the same thing one time. And I was like, no, you lose clients money and I make clients millions. You do promo, I do traffic and conversion. Now, you might call us the same thing, but the result is completely different. And I'm saying this to you at home because a lot of you are really talented. You're just selling it wrong. You're not talking about your experiences that make you unique. Because if you're a therapist, for example, from a certain demographic, maybe you have understanding and insight and empathy for the people who come from that background that another therapist might not. If you're a black woman who grew up in an urban environment, maybe you're better equipped to deal with black women in corporate America who grew up in urban environments and are struggling to reach their highest potential and keep bumping their head against the glass ceiling. Maybe you understand the colloquialisms and maybe your examples are a little more close to home because you're from a similar background. Maybe you understand some of the underlying things without that person having to say them. Maybe you're able to say things that, a Karen, and no disrespect to Karens, but that a Karen couldn't say to them. The very fact that the word Karen even makes sense to your potential client says that you guys have a bond and a connection. And you need that bond and connection, obviously, right? Because people need to trust you in order for you to do business with them, in order for them to give you their personal information, in order for them to want to make an appointment and actually show up for it. They need to believe in you and believe that you can help them. Right? Because if they don't, why would they show up? So maybe you're selling the wrong thing. If you're a therapist, you need to sell the thing that makes you unique. If you're a caterer, you need to sell the things that make you unique. All caterers are not created equal. Maybe you're making things from scratch and the other person's going, to Walmart and Gordon's, and it's going to come out different. Potato salad from scratch and potato salad from, your local grocery store might not be the same. But if they're selling theirs just like you're selling yours, you're probably very frustrated. Because they're putting stuff in the microwave and then dumping it in the pan and calling it catering. And you're like, man, I'm making this stuff from scratch. I'm a purist. I'm authentic. But they keep choosing those people over me. Why? Because they're cheaper. And they don't know the difference between the two of you. They're putting ribs in the oven and you cooking them on an open flame with smoke, cherry wood. Not the same thing. So you have to focus on your differentiators. You have to focus on the things that make you different. You have to focus on the things that your specific clients will appreciate. Because this is service. And in service, the bottom all looks the same. And for somebody who's not very educated about it, somebody who's never done it before, they may think that if they pay somebody $500, they can get the same thing that they would get from you. And that's probably wrong. Very wrong. You know, I post emails that make sales. They post emails that don't get opened. We're not the same. I sit down with clients and we talk about how to close more clients. You've never closed any clients. You've never done any big deals. I've had clients do deals with multiple major retailers at the top of their industry. We're not the same. And that's the thing that you want to do for your business. You want to say, we're not the same. You know, they're going to come, they're going to leave a mess, they're not going to pick up their clippings, and at the end of the day, you're going to get what you paid for. Whereas we're going to come, and then you want to break it down. We're going to pay attention to detail. We're going to make sure we're looking at your grass and see if there's any opportunities for us to grow grass in places where there isn't any grass. See if there's anything in that grass that's keeping your grass from growing. And then we're going to give you a report so that you can then have the best grass possible. Now, it's not the same as the kid down the street who's going to cut it, leave most of the clippings, and then go back home. Not the same. So if you're selling services, you need to be selling you. You know, what makes you different? What makes you different? What makes you better? What understandings do you bring? You know, even if you're doing handcrafted stuff, you need to focus on the fact that it is handcrafted. You know, this isn't something that you get, you know, off an assembly line. This is something that's made with love, made with care. You know, the details matter. You know, because you can't charge premium prices for stuff that looks like something that you could find anywhere. You know, and if you're making it with your own hands, then you need to highlight your experience, your skills, your talents, and show your process and how your process helps them get what they want, avoid what they don't want, keeps them away from their worst nightmare, saves them some time. You know, that's what you need to focus on. Because if you're doing something for someone, especially, you know, which is what service industry jobs are, you're doing something for someone. You know, if you're keeping someone's kids, two daycares are not the same. You know, one daycare is keeping the kids, and they're teaching them Spanish. They're teaching them French because it's easier to learn when you're young. Another daycare is just sticking them in front of a television. You know, one daycare is making sure they're getting outside and getting exercise and learning about nature. Another daycare is just housing your kids and sitting them on the floor and giving them juice boxes. One daycare is giving them organic food and making sure they have a well-balanced, nutritious diet and not giving them a whole bunch of sugar. The other daycare is giving them juicy juice. Okay. So now, when you start to build out your customer profile, you know, hey, I want to make sure that I'm selling to the people who want to have healthy, smart, bright kids who get into the best colleges. Well, how do they get into the best colleges? Well, we're challenging them and we're skill building from the beginning, from daycare. They'll leave daycare able to count in English and Spanish. They'll leave daycare able to speak some Spanish or speak some French, which gives them a better chance when they get to the point where they're going to start taking their test to figure out where they belong in school. You know, we're preparing them to beat the competition when it's finally time to go get an education. We're giving your kids a much better chance. We're not just housing them. You know, so you want to focus on your different. Then what makes you different? What makes you better? What makes you better for your audience? Because I mean, it's not ridiculous to say, how much is it worth to you for us to put you in a position for your kid to know as much as a first grader before they get to kindergarten? How much is that worth? You know, it's definitely more than somebody who's feeding them juicy juice and sitting in front of a television all day and calling it daycare. And then the flip side of that is you need to know as a person who's paying for this stuff what you're getting for your money. Because if you're paying them like they are going to teach your kids Spanish and feed them organic foods and have them as smart as a first grader, but yet they're only housing them and feeding them sugary stuff and Takis and stuff like that, they're not making sure that the place is clean and the kids are clean. Now your kids getting ear infections, but you're paying like it's a premium place. Would you really want to keep going through that? Would that make you happy? Would that make you feel good about the money you spent? So again, if you are selling services, that's how you want to do it. We're faster. Because again, no two are the same. You got two barbers. One cuts great, but he take all day. You can get the same kind of cut over here in half the time. Now, if you're a busy person, which one of these appeals to you more? You know, some places you can only get your hair cut. Other places you can get your hair cut and your nails done. You get your eyebrows arched. So now you start looking at women and you say, hey, my ladies who like the low cuts, you come in here, you can get your hair cut, get your eyebrows arched, and your nails done all in the same place and on the same bill. See how you're selling it different? Now, if your product, completely different. Now, if your product, then, okay, the question is, does this product do the job? Does it get rid of the roaches? Does it get rid of the dandelions? Is it going to make you look 20 years younger? What is the benefit of this particular product for you or me? What's the benefit? Does it do the job? Now it doesn't really matter about the experiences and the life experiences. It matters whether or not it gets the job done or not. And you see this a lot of times when people start talking about all their experience, and it's like, but are you going to get what I need you to do done? I've heard people talk about their degrees. Okay, I got a degree in marketing. Okay, but have you ever sold anything? See, now we're looking at it as product. Does it get the job done? It doesn't matter about your degree if you can't get the job done. It doesn't matter how much love and kindness you put in it if it doesn't taste good. See, now when you're selling products, you want to talk about the results. 95% of the people who use this have used it multiple times. Why? Because it works. Works in minutes, not hours. People who sell cake. Cake is a prime example. People talk about cake all the time, but all cakes are not created equal. Remember talking to a girl that ran a bakery, and she was telling me how she used real butter in her cakes. And I was like, but it doesn't say it anywhere on your marketing. It doesn't say it anywhere in your promotion. It doesn't say it on any of your stuff. Why? Because people are going to look at that and say, oh, wow, this is better. This makes more sense as to why it costs what it costs. Because people, if they don't know the things that make your product better for them, then they won't spend top dollar for it. Again, we were billing her as the cakes that taste just like grandma made. We want a cake that tastes like grandma made it. It's made with real butter, real sugar, real flour, just like grandma used. So now, again, we're separating our product from the other products. And at the same time, we're able to charge more money. Because this is a cake that tastes like grandma made. You can't charge $50 for cakes that aren't made from scratch. Why? Because you could go to the supermarket and get them for $5.99. So now when a person's sitting in front of you and they're like, well, it's Thanksgiving. Why does your cake cost so much? Oh, because my cakes are made with real butter. My cake sticks that's like grandmother made. Now, if that's important to you to impress the people that you bring this cake to, then you probably want to go with me. Now, if it's not important, feel free to go down to your local grocery store and spend $5.99. But it's not going to taste the same. It's not going to get the same response. People aren't going to be talking about it 6 months from now. People aren't going to be patting you on the back talking about, oh, girl, that cake was good. It's just going to be, store bought. And you're probably going to have about half of it left sitting on your kitchen table when the holidays are over with. But when you're talking differentiators and you're talking about what makes you different and you're talking about what makes you better for your specific client, that gives you leverage. Because, see, you can say whatever you want. If your goal is to have an impressive cake, $5.99 ain't going to get it. You know, if your goal is to have a wonderful evening, press and play DJ ain't going to get it. You probably want to go with somebody who's skilled. You want to go with somebody who's got a package, who can create a product that your people are going to love. That's going to get the job done. Yes. But the next thing is who and how much of a job are they trying to get done? How big is this job? Because a wedding DJ might be a lot different than 16-year-old's birthday party. 16-year-old birthday party, you might be able to go with press and plus DJ. But you get married, you might want to go with something that's going to make the night memorable. So which one is going to make the night memorable? And for you at home, if you can make the night memorable, you can charge more. But you have to understand what makes you unique, what makes your product unique, what makes you able to say to a specific group of people, man, you can't get this everywhere. And when you know that part, then you can walk away from people. Would you like to walk away from people? Okay. Here's how you put yourself in a position where you can walk away from people. When you know that your product is unique and one of a kind and it solves their problem better than anybody else's, then you get to stand in front of them and say, hey, take it or leave it. Why? Because you know that they can't go anywhere else and get what you're offering. That simple. If you know you built something that uniquely solves a problem in a way that nobody else can solve it, you get to stand there and say, hey, I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is. This is the price. Heart surgeons don't have to give discounts. Yeah, awkward silence, I know, but it's the truth. Heart surgeons do not have to give discounts. Why? Because there are very few of them. And the really good ones are in demand. Okay. So same thing with you. If you make cakes from scratch, if you make macaroni and cheese like very few people can make it, if you make greens like nobody can make them, and this is just simple stuff. And I'm not saying it's simple in the sense that, it's not complicated to make macaroni and cheese and greens from scratch. I'm saying simple in the sense that you can do this, get good at it without having to invest a whole lot of money. And you may already have these skills. And if you do, there are people who are willing to pay you money for them. Because your product is better. A $30 pan of macaroni and cheese might sound outrageous to one person, but that might make sense to another. Because they want that soul food for their Christmas party, and they got to bring a dish. So they want to bring an impressive dish, and you say, hey, I know you only want to spend 15, but you're not impressing anybody with that 15. What's going to impress people is this $30 one. As a matter of fact, I got a $60 one that's even more impressive because that one's got 4 cheese and lobster meat in it. So do you want to impress? Because if you want to impress, lobster macaroni might be it, or 4 cheese macaroni might be it. So now, not only are you able to have first tier customers, you're able to have VIP luxury customers because now you can offer an upsell, an upsell, which then makes more money for you. So again, this time of year, we're really trying to make sure that we get our money up. And the reason we're trying to make sure we get our money up is because that's how we feed our families. Because we know that the holidays are coming. There's 79 days to Christmas. And people are already writing their lists and checking it twice. People are already trying to figure out what they're going to do for New Year's. People are going to have these parties. And if you're a business owner who hasn't put your best foot forward in regard to sales, how are you going to go to the parties? What are you going to wear? Are you going to have to miss out on the parties because you haven't been selling and selling the right things? I'm just asking. I mean, I don't think that's a ridiculous question. Is it a ridiculous question to say, if you're not working on your sales each and every day, that you probably won't have them? And if you don't have them, that the consequences of that might be that you struggle to pay your bills this holiday season, that you struggle to keep your business open this holiday season because the gas prices are going up per the holidays. That now you have to spend extra money on turkey and stuffing and gifts and all these things. And if that money is coming from your business. Oh, and for my side hustle folks. Because see, some of my side hustle folks be like, hey, but I got a job. I still got a regular job. Okay, but here's the thing. How nice would it be if you made enough money on your side hustle that you could use your side hustle money to take a trip? How nice would it be if you could use your side hustle money to pay some of these bills so that you could take some of your regular money and put it in a savings account? How nice would it be if your side hustle put you in a position to tell some of your bosses to go kiss their, wives in the place where the sun don't shine? How great would that be? You don't want to have control over your life? You don't want to have freedom? You don't want to have economic certainty? Let me make it another way. You don't want to know how much money you got in the bank and that is your money and that nobody could take it away by firing you? Is that crazy to think that you would like to know from day to day that you can make money on your own and that there's no cap on and there's nobody telling you can't get a raise? So even if you have a side hustle, it feels like this is the time to do something about it. It feels like this is the time to really step it up a little bit. And if that's the case, then you need to make sure that you're selling the right thing. Now, if you're selling you, you need to sell the uniqueness of you. Yes, I care about dogs more than other people. So when I walk the dogs, I make sure that they don't get into anything that could get them hurt. I take them to a nice clean park. I don't take them around other dogs. I don't take them around other humans. I keep my eyes on them at all times. You know, you could even throw in that you have some type of certificate, if you have one, in veterinarianship. And I guarantee you'll be able to charge more. Not because of the certificate by itself, but because of the other things that you're doing for people who have dogs and who care about their dogs. Because everybody can't say that. So not only do I have formal education, but I have a passion and a love and an understanding and an insight that most people don't have, because I've been doing this for this many years, and we have a system in place that makes sure that no dogs ever come back harmed. So now you stack that on top of your testimonials. Now look how easy it is for a client to want to do business with you. I love my dog. You love dogs. You have a way to make sure that my dog's going to come back as good as it left. I'm with that. But if you're not selling the right thing to the right person, how do you then expect to make any money? Not trying to confuse you. It just feels like if the people you're trying to sell to are broke and you're trying to sell them high ticket items, that it won't work. And I know you don't want to be the person who spent all this money on these pictures and this website and all these materials to make this stuff, and all this time on your education to only find out that the skills that you need you don't have. And the fact that you don't have them is keeping you from being the person you want to be to the people you love. You know, that you're a solopreneur, you're an entrepreneur, you're a freelancer, you're self-employed, you don't have any employees, but you don't know how to sell. But you don't know how to negotiate price. You don't know how to speed up the buying cycle. So now, because of that, you struggle to get customers on a consistent enough basis. And even when you do get customers, you don't get them at the price you should, because you're always caving on your price because you don't know what to sell. And yeah. So again, you have to be selling the right thing. If you're in the service industry, coaches, therapists, people who do something for someone, you need to start talking differently. Now, what I do for you is going to save you time. What I do for you is going to make it easier for you to feed your family. What I do for you is going to help you avoid your worst nightmare, which is probably this. So that's what you have to do. You have to make sure you're selling the right thing. If you're selling a product, does this product get the job done? That's the primary thing. Now, once we know it gets the job done, does it get it done better than the other ones? And when we're trying to talk about better, better for who? This is better for busy people. You know, because all you got to do is snap it and pour it, shake it, now you can drink it. This one's better for people who are afraid of the following. And you break it down. But the first thing is we need to make sure that we're getting the job done. And then we need to talk about what makes us the best choice, or what makes our product the best choice for a specific group of people. Again, if you're self-employed, you don't have any employees, and you're in the service industry, and you need to learn how to sell, I am an award-winning sales trainer. I'm a record-setting recruiter who's been on the phones, who's had to negotiate with people for price for over 30 years at this point. So if you're going to choose someone, who would you choose? Somebody who's been able to train, teach other people? Somebody who's not only been able to be successful at it for a couple years, but for maybe 30 of them? Like, how are you choosing? Are these two coaches the same? That is what you got to do, man. You got to advocate for you, because nobody else is going to advocate for you. You got to advocate for you. And if the clients think that you're the same as the one that's 1,000 times cheaper, how you going to get your price? How you going to feed your family? How you going to feed your kids? How you going to pay your student loans? Aye, aye. Just thinking about it. Because people just in general, man, even if they got it, they trying to get the best deal. But a lot of times you get what you paid for. A lot of times trying to get the best deal puts them in a position to still have the problem. You know, and you need to say that. Like, yeah, you could go cheaper. I can't tell you what to do. But if you go cheaper, here's what you're sacrificing. You know, and based on what you were saying, that's not a thing you want to do. Which is again why I'm such a huge proponent of people talking to their customers, because that information is going to help you sell better. But again, man, we are less than 80 days to Christmas. I love you. By the way, we're doing Book to Business on the third Thursday of the month, the 24th. So if you're interested in being a coach, if you're interested in writing a book and turning it into a business, kind of like I did, um, go to growingrich.com. Look all throughout the page. It's going to be links that'll help you join us on the 24th. As always, man, it's your business, Big Bro Sit On Long, aka the most dangerous man in marketing, Mr. Better Than 401k. I love you, and I'm out.